G'day all you hunters out there. I've got the latest Shooters and Fishers newsletter. There you go. This is the December issue, Shooting, Debris and Fishing for Facts. And this is issue number 3. And it's quite good actually that the Shooters and Fishers have started to come out with these newsletters, these regular newsletters. And it's good because it shows you some of the things that they're doing in Parliament. And I certainly hope that this sort of stuff is in the budget, and I encourage all you guys out there who still have not submitted who are members of the Shooters and Fishers, who still have not submitted your email address and your contact details to the Shooters and Fishers website. Please do so, because it will save these guys a lot of money, and also it will allow them to alert you instantly to things that are going on. And some of the news here is quite good. Okay, which the Macos grants are restored. So basically last month we told you that Premier Barry O'Farrell's backflip on the grants for shooting and hunting clubs, that's been restored, but thanks to the representation of Shooters and Fishers Party on behalf of our members, we've had a win. Premier Barry O'Farrell has now outlined a timetable for the grants to return, which is good. A total of 600,000 will be available this year for all shooting and hunting clubs for range and compliance issue and or safety or gear upgrades. So that's good, but I thought originally it was 800,000, but anyway, that's another story. So 600,000 this year. So anyway, but on other news in this newsletter, it says still no word on bag limits or sizes. And basically, they said during a recent interview on 2SM's High Tide, I spoke with Minister of Prime Ministry Katrina Hoskisson about the review into bag limits and sizes, but sadly there was still no information to the minister. Even asked my thoughts about species with bag limits of 20 being reduced to 10, to which I emphatically stated that I was against it. Yeah, so to be perfectly honest, you know what, I want to just open up this newsletter one day and read that bag limits have been abolished. I mean, why on earth do we have bag limits, for God's sakes? It's not like we're going to fish the sea out of all the, fish the ocean out of all the fish. So, I certainly don't see any angler out there catching 100 fish, taking them home and then throwing them in the rubbish. I mean, if you're going to catch 50 or 60 fish or thereabouts, and you're going to take them home, usually most of these guys have deep freezers and they store them, and they come in very good use later on in the year. So, I certainly don't see, and I'll be lucky to catch 5 anyway when I'm out there. So I certainly don't see the point in bag limits, as I really would like the Shooters and Fishers to fight for an abolishment of these bag limits, because it's quite rare that many people out there are actually catching huge amounts of these fish. So, and I certainly don't want my tax dollar paying for some ranger to walk around and checking how many fish everyone's got. I mean, really, what a waste of time and money. So anyway, and then there's this Sydney Harbour squid debacle. Oh, God's sakes. Like, it just never ends, this government. They want to attack us on the bag limits, the squid, every single little nook and cranny. Next thing you know, they'll be, checking what types of hooks we use, making sure that we're not hurting the fish. It's just unbelievable. So anyway, I certainly want to open up this newsletter one day and see the news story saying Shooters and Fishers abolishing bag limits. That's what I want to see. Then it says here, don't be fooled, this Shooters and Fishers is the only mob that represents anglers. Labor gave us marine parks, and Liberal National Coalition want to increase your fees. I mean, what about fees in the first place? I want to open up this newsletter and read that the Shooters and Fishers have abolished the fishing license. I mean, that's what I want to read. I mean, it's not even a license anyway. It's a freaking tax. You pay your money, you sign your name on a piece of paper. That's it. That's a tax. It's not a license. So that's what I want to read. But also in this newsletter, there certainly isn't any news about increasing our gun rights. I mean, they have done a lot of good stuff, don't get me wrong, and this is also important stuff, but where's an increase of our freedoms in terms of our gun rights? I mean, I want to open this up and say the Shooters and Fishers have successfully overturned a ban on certain firearms and firearm parts in New South Wales. So that's what I want to read. So I certainly hope that Robert Borsak and Robert Brown are working hard to try and abolish some of these restrictions in New South Wales that are certainly not there in other states. like Queensland, for example. So anyway, guys, good newsletter. Okay, always support the shooters and fishers. They do a great job in Parliament, and make sure that they've got your email address, your details, and make sure you're a member too. So don't complain when your rights are being destroyed, especially if you're not a member. And many of you gun owners out there are still very apathetic. You think that everything's going to be okay. The "she'll be right, mate" attitude simply is not going to do in this day and age. People need to stand behind the things that they believe in, and they need to support those organisations who are going to support them. So anyway, guys, if you're not a member of the Shooters and Fishers Party, become a member. Be active. All right. So anyway, guys, Aussie Shooter signing out. I'll catch you later, and always defend your rights and freedoms. See ya.